So from the time we were kids, we've been soaking up stories, religious and otherwise, about who we are and what we can do and what we can't do, what we believe, what we don't believe. You can think of your mind as sort of the voiceover, if you will. If you were a movie, if your life was a movie, your mind would be the voiceover to that movie, the inner narrator. And it's not always your own voice. It is a mixture of voices and ideas and ideologies that come from your parents, your grandparents, your guardians, those who were around you at early age, particularly from 1 to 7, when you're not challenging anything. You're simply just soaking up everything. You're trying to learn the language. You're trying to learn how to walk. You're trying to, as long as you're in a safe environment, for the most part, you're not challenging your parents, your teachers, your guardians, your grandparents on anything. And especially these days, you have a mixture of media, social media. A lot of kids are, in my opinion, on these tablets and devices way too early, and they're getting so many messages from different areas that's not being guarded or protected. You get messaging from your culture about who you are and what, as a group, we believe and don't believe. And most of the time, this stuff is outdated. Why is it outdated? Because what we're talking about here on this podcast, most people don't know and they don't realize. And they also have received this same type of programming from their parents, and so on and so on and so on. I do remember watching a documentary about Olympic athletes and how they train, right? One trainer said, the moment that I changed how I spoke to myself about the race, during the race, I shaved off time. And that kind of stuck with me. And it's not because I wanted to run a marathon necessarily, but it's because it hit me that self-talk is that important. Self-talk is performance. Let's say you are you want to lose weight. You're in a narrative to say, we tried this before, diets don't work for us. You really like to eat. Next week's the family reunion, or next week is the cruise. Why do it now? That sort of thing. Okay. Chronic procrastination is the second thing. These are things that, if you are undisciplined, your script may say that you are undisciplined. It may say you're lazy, when really you're just afraid. You're afraid to move forward because why? Because you may fail. You may fail. And the great thing about failure is that it teaches you something. Now, we need to learn something about failure, and failure is okay. The road to success, you've heard it so many times, is paved with failure. We need to really embrace that. So when we fail, we say, okay, first of all, I'm not the only one. I know that I can learn from this. I'm going to try again. I may not do it this way, but I'm going to try again. And eventually you'll fail enough to the point you succeed. Why? Because you'll have enough information at that point to do it the right way. So avoiding tasks that you are perfectly capable of because your inner story says that you'll mess it up anyway. This causes chronic procrastination. And then lastly, imposter syndrome. Now, by the way, if you can go back through our podcast, we've talked about all this stuff in detail. Even when you're succeeding, the script says to you, it's a fluke. Like you really didn't earn this. You get the job, but you feel like you're a fraud because your internal story tells you, hey, I know I'm not as qualified as the other person. Or perhaps, you're in a relationship and you think, if this person really knew what I was thinking all the time. Imposter syndrome really is a large segment of our population deals with imposter syndrome. And particularly now because we are dealing with social media and everybody feels the pressure of success. And when you see social media, different than regular media, well, I shouldn't say that. When you see social media, because regular media would include magazines and things like that. So for years, we portrayed a certain image of what success looks like. And if you are not within that imagery or you're not within that box, then we feel unsuccessful. And so we paint a picture that says we're in that box. We drive the car, we live in the house, we have the spouse, we have the physique and all this other stuff. But inside, we're not happy. We are, maybe a payment away from not being in the house or the car, our job's on the line. So many other things are just kind of breaking, but we paint the picture that everything's okay. So we feel like an imposter. We feel like if someone really knew this wasn't my house or this wasn't my car or me and my wife or husband don't really get along, these pictures don't really tell the story. So that's imposter syndrome. Let's talk some solutions now. Let's talk about reframing the inner dialogue. And we're going to go back again and tell you, go over to our podcast website, and you'll come in on the homepage and just hit the word shop. When you go to our shop, you'll see at the bottom, it's on sale today for $18. It is a downloadable digital product, 30 days to reconstructing your self-concept. You can run this simultaneously with what we're talking about in this 30 days. It's going to be a big benefit to you. And also, you can go back last year, you can go back in season 4 and take a look at those podcasts, and it'll walk you through some other steps as well. Let's make this tangible. So the first thing is identifying the narrator's tone. Ask yourself, what tone does your self-talk usually have? What tone does your self-talk usually have? When you hear your voice coming across to you, is it harsh? Is it critical? Is it doubtful? Is it sarcastic? Is it, securing or loving? What's your how do you sound when you're talking to yourself? I know for me, I don't necessarily sound sarcastic because that's not who I am. I don't speak that way. I'm not a sarcastic person, but I do feel critical and I do feel doubtful sometimes when I'm considering things, or when I'm reminiscing over things that I feel I should have already accomplished or done. And that's negative self-talk. So you got to be honest with yourself. What do you sound like? Because that matters. Now, again, I told you, you're going to be able to identify moving forward when that negative self-talk starts, because you're going to be talking to yourself positively. So when that critical or doubtful thought comes in, you got to challenge that. And we're going to talk about that in a minute. Step 2 is to catch your narrative in action. Catch it in action. Here's an example. You spill coffee and you instantly think to yourself, man, I'm such an idiot. I drop stuff all the time. Or you can't find your keys or your cell phone charger or your cell phone. I lose everything. I can never keep up with stuff. You've got to immediately stop that conversation. That's your inner narrator talking to you, creating this ideology, this pattern about who you are. You're doing that. Even something as simple as the coffee or the cell phone. If you're doing that to yourself about that, imagine what you're saying to yourself when you're considering, a life partner or some big purchase or some sort of career move, or even, I don't know, just moving in general. So step 1 is identify your tone. Step 2 is to catch the script in action. Here's step 3, and here's where we're going to start making a change. Flip the line. That's step 3. The new script. So instead of saying I'm such an idiot for losing, or I'm sorry for dropping the coffee, you can say, well, that was just an accident. And everybody makes mistakes. You'd be surprised how different you feel about a mistake or a situation when you realize and say to yourself, everybody's done this probably. Everybody's, wasted coffee or some drink on themselves on the way to work and screwed their pants or shirt or blouse or whatever up. Everybody's done that. I don't know anybody who hasn't done that. A little bit. And so why does that make a difference? Because when you're narrating to yourself, you're really focusing on just you, like you're the idiot. Well, if everybody's done it, it's just something that happens and you don't have to personalize it. So you feel less accomplished. You feel less like this is only isolated to you. If it feels like everybody's done this, then maybe I'm not as big of an idiot, because there are very smart people, there are very successful people who just happen to waste their coffee one day. Okay? Either way it goes, flip the script. So whatever the negative is that you have said to yourself, find a positive light on it. And don't let the statement go. Redo the statement, flip the line, and say to yourself, and let's keep moving. Let's keep moving. So step number 4 is to write a daily line. So all you guys I know have journals at this point. If you don't, again, you can go to our shop and you can get a daily journal. Journals are great because it helps you to stay in touch with your thoughts, not just today, but you can look back on where you were last quarter, last year, and see your progress. That's very important. So write a daily line. Write a phrase that matches who and what you want to be. Write a phrase that matches who you want to be. Not who you've been, but who you want to be, who you want to realize. Here's an example. I make aligned decisions and I trust myself. I always tell myself that I am confident and I am secure. And the reason why those 2 emotions work best for me is because I believe that the person that I am at my highest, the person that has the types of resources and the things, the life that I will have, at the core is confident and secure. They don't worry about maybe some of the things that I concern myself with now. So I remind myself that at the base level, I'm confident and I'm secure. So I want you to write a daily line, write a phrase that matches who you want to be. Who is the best? What's the best case scenario for you? Who's your highest self? What sorts of emotions does that person have? Okay. And then lastly, let's repeat it until it's our default voice. This has got to supersede everything else in every situation. So when I continue to see things in my 3D, in my reality, that mimic what happened yesterday and the day before, I have different reactions to it. I tell myself, even though that happened, I'm still confident, secure, knowing that that's coming from old programming, old thought patterns, because your thoughts of today will have children tomorrow. So this is not going to happen completely overnight. It happen maybe a little quicker for some than others, but it depends on how much you do it. So that's why it's important to make this your default voice. You want to use this new phrase every morning, particularly if you do mirror work. Use it every morning in the mirror or when you notice the old narrator coming up. Okay. So use your journal script. Let's go through the steps one more time. This is the solution. Identify the tone, catch the script in action, flip the line, write yourself a new script, use your journal, write a new daily line. This matches who you want to be. And then lastly, repeat it until it becomes your actual narrating voice. Okay. So, top benefits for rewriting your narration as a narrator: it helps you step into your confidence, your power, and it helps you to align yourself. Okay. So, this is your day 2 challenge. It changes how you show up and how you perform overall. This also changes how you can connect with others. If you want to anchor this daily practice in motion, you can use mirror work 2 minutes a day, 3 to 4 times a day at least. Speak to yourself in the mirror. Do it in the morning. Do it at night. Reread the script that you wrote in your journal or use your keywords. I'm confident and I'm secure. I'm confident, I'm secure, or I'm aligned with the things that I want to have. That's number 1, trigger tracker. We do have in our spreadsheet I was telling you about, there's a tracker for you to keep notes of moments that you hear your old voice coming up. So you can write down that old narrative and then you can flip it and write a new narrative. Affirmation practices, those are always great. You can write 3 phrases that, empower you. Write 3 phrases that empower you and repeat them every day. Evening rewind. This is very important. And I need to get back to doing this. Journaling. Journal a moment where you successfully caught yourself and you rewrote the script. Remind yourself at night how great a day that you had, even if it wasn't what you expected. Evening rewind. Journal a moment where you successfully caught yourself in that old narration. You flipped the script and you rewrote the script. Okay. And then lastly, let's do a voice audit. Ask yourself, is this my true voice or is this someone else's echo? If you've been in particularly traumatic types of relationships throughout your life and people have said very derogatory things about you, many times unbeknownst to you, and I wouldn't think you would do it to yourself knowingly, you repeat that other person's statement but using your voice. And you got to know that those things are not true about you, number 1. And number 2, this is not what I believe. At my core, this isn't what I believe. Okay? All right. Hope you enjoyed day 2. Guys, come back for day 3. Don't forget to check out the show notes, and I will talk to you later.